Hey y'all, it's Chris with Liber, back for another episode of Raising the Bar. Today, we're gonna do mint syrup 2 ways, starting with our classic gum syrup. We're gonna do a really straightforward, easy way. We're just gonna take our classic gum syrup, puree mint in there, strain it out, bottle it, and be ready to go. The drawback for this may be a little bit of more bitter character from the herb itself, and also a little bit of a worse color over time. Mint can sort of degrade, start to darken, and turn even sort of an unsightly brown black color. So we're gonna test that one out. It's gonna be easy, but then we're gonna contrast it against a little bit more complicated method, and that method is a blanching method. A lot of chefs use it for fresh vegetables. It's supposed to keep a more bright green color. It's not supposed to darken over time as much. So after 1 or 2 days, maybe even a week in the fridge, this blanched method still should be more vividly colorful and not as dark. So we're gonna start with equal amount of mint for each syrup. We wanna kind of control and keep consistent the amount of herb that's gonna go into each of these syrups. Hey, he was supposed to be over here. It's about equal. We're not gonna get too scientific on this, but we're gonna remove all the leaves from a bunch of mint, add it to the blender, and just go. So the reason you wanna remove the leaves from the stalk is that the stalk has not as many of the aromatic essential oils, the mint quality that you're really after. It's kind of like more bitter, green, a little bit more fibrous. So we just want to avoid it. It's not really the flavor that you're going for. So we have about 40 mint leaves, plus or minus. Looks like about a cup if you're going to go the volumetric route here of unpacked fresh mint. This is going to be a good amount of mint for 1 bottle. Okay, that was super easy. We did maybe 45, 60 seconds on high in the blender. Looks a lot healthier than it really is. And the next step we're gonna do, use a fine mesh strainer. Wanna keep as many of the mint solids that are left in here behind and end up with just a lightly strained finished syrup. You could probably go further if you want. You could probably go to muslin cloth or even a coffee filter if you wanted. So first pass, I mean, this looks super green, smells great, smells like mint gum basically. We're done. Guess we should try it. 1 second. That's quite minty. That's really good actually. It's super fresh. I think the combination of the puree and the fine strain, it's definitely like a little bit of solids, but it's not off-putting by any means. It's really minty. It's super minty. Okay, that's impressive. This is the second version. Gonna be a little more complicated, but should give us a better result. We have small thing of water boiling right next to an ice bath. So the process is we're gonna take the exact same amount of mint as before, blanch it, then go straight into the ice bath before we blend with the syrup. So we want about 15 seconds in the hot water. Any more than that, and we're gonna start to get degradation, breakdown of the volatile mint. So we're just gonna count this out. All right, now we're going straight into the ice bath. So the ice bath is meant to quickly bring it back down as cold as possible. And you wanna leave it in here for about 30 to 60 seconds or until you're confident that this mint actually is cold. When we're done with that, we can go ahead and remove all the leaves from this mint. Remember, this is the same amount of mint as the other syrup. Remove those, add them to the blender, blend again with syrup. Is that what we want to do? Are you still filming?
Yeah.
Brutal. You're gonna get me on this. I know you are. Don't get me, Alex. This initially doesn't smell as good. It's definitely a lot more vegetal, kind of the wet grass aroma. I assume it's just the heat from the hot water just kind of had more of an aggressive extraction. Okay, definitely a milder flavor. This blanched version is a lot softer, Don't get any really off flavors. It's not bitter. It just seems less intense. So we're done. We've got our basic unblanched mint syrup and our blanched version. They look pretty similar. This definitely has a much more robust flavor. I think we lost a little bit of the expression of the mint when we went with the blanched version. Now the fun part, let's make a mint julep. Y'all probably know a mint julep is a very straightforward drink. You'd usually add your sugar, add your mint, muddle, bourbon, ice, etc. Now we're just gonna go mint syrup straight into the glass, bourbon, ice, etc. Should probably measure this. We like a strong mint julep. We're gonna grab our blanched version since we think it has a little bit less flavor. We're gonna make sure it stands up in a mint julep. We're gonna do 1/2 ounce. Today we're gonna reach for Treaty Oak's Day Drinker Bourbon. It's a local bourbon to Austin. Treaty Oak's been around for a decade or two now. I think they were one of the 3rd or 4th licensed distilleries in Texas after Prohibition. Make a great product. And the reason we're going for this bourbon today is, one, it's not overproof. It's only 80 proof, so we're gonna do 2.5 full ounces of bourbon. And second, it's got a lot of good corn and wheat character, not a lot of spice. It's not like a super rye heavy mash bill. It's a great option for a mint julep. 2.5 ounces of bourbon. We're just gonna stir the syrup and the whiskey to incorporate it. Shouldn't be more than a few turns. Then we're gonna fill the whole cup with crushed ice. At this point, you'll wanna give it a good stir, probably 10 or 20 revolutions just to incorporate everything. But at the same time, this is crushed ice. You're drinking a mint julep, so it's probably hot outside. You're probably sitting on the porch. Don't overdo it at this point. This drink is meant to be strong initially, so don't overstir, and always finish with more crushed ice. So that's a fast mint julep. Always like to keep the straw by the mint, so when you go in for that first sip, the aromatics of the herb hit you right in the glass. Not in the glass, right in the nose. Let's try it out. That's really good. It's super minty. It's the right balance of syrup to whiskey. If you didn't use a 2.5 ounces, you might come down on that syrup pour from 1/2 to 1/4. So today was actually part 1 of a 2-part series. We did the basic and the blanched version of the mint syrup. We know they make a good drink initially. The second part we're gonna follow up on is how these age. So after a few days, actually, I think we should do a week, and see how the flavors change, mimic your storage in your fridge, and maybe more importantly, see how the color changes. This one's kind of already a bit darker, so that could be a turn off if this turns super, super dark brown. Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in.